Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are taking a look at Flunder once again, because this deck has been neutered into the ground, but you can still play Shifter, so it must be good in this meta, right? Alright, so we're going to do the quick rundown of the cards and the analysis of the deck, and then hop into some replays. So, starting off, we are playing 3 Robina, 3 Eaglin, pretty standard. I'm also playing 2 Street and only 1 Toucan. Honestly, there were a lot of times where I was like, maybe I should play 2 of this. But it is just kind of a dead card unless you see other ways to banish cards or to get cards into the banish zone. So for the most part, I feel like it's just better at 1. I'm also playing DD Crow as a target for the Robina. That's the one other target. It's been very, very useful. Being able to banish any card from the grave is very nice. There's a lot of times where it's like, you want to banish a spell or something like that. Right, which is pretty nice. And then we have, of course, an Apex Avian, 2 Ryza, and 1 M-Pen, because M-Pen is at 1. Why is M-Pen at 1? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. This is the most baffling limit in this deck. The pots make sense. The shifter makes sense. Map at least makes sense. You know, it's the key combo card. It really, you know, it is a difficult card for people to deal with because it requires you to not play your normal summon, so it's really not great to play against. I get it. Limiting this card makes sense. Why is M-Pen at 1? Who put this card to 1? Anyway, yeah, there's that. Then we're playing a triple Maxi and double shifter, and that's actually it for our hand traps. Those are the only hand traps we're playing. Now, I know what you're saying. No shot you're only playing that many hand traps in Snake Eyes meta. 2 things. We do not care about Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes, their end boards are kind of not really anything to us, because if they're able to do their full combo, they're able to do their full combo, right? Like, having an Ash Blossom to prevent them from getting into whatever it may be is probably not going to do enough anyway. And second of all, Promethean Princess is never going to trigger, so that's just a dead card for them. Any of their Link monsters basically don't do anything if M-Pen is on the field. If we go first, it's basically a death sentence. And we are playing other going second options, so it's not like we're not, you know, planning for it. It's just we kind of need as much consistency as we can, which is why we're playing the cards that we are, right? So now we're going to play a whole bunch of spells. We're playing the Harpy's Feather Duster. We're playing Gold Sark, Pot of Duality, Pot of Extrav, and Pot of Prosperity to help with consistency. We're also playing 2 Jack in the Hand, again to help with consistency. I'm only playing 2 because it isn't the greatest. Oftentimes your opponent will steal something like Robina and you'll be left with Eaglin, or something along those lines. If you reveal Toucan, they're going to take that one, etc., etc. And so because of that, just most of the time it's better. It's better to have something else, so I only like playing 2. You could also play, like, I don't know. You could play 3. But there's that. You could also play, like, Pot of Desires if you really needed to, but I didn't feel like it was too necessary, given Jack in the Hand and the other options. We're also playing 3 Triple Tactics Talents, which means if your opponent does end up Ash Blossoming you, you can either look at the hand or you can potentially draw 2, which is very nice. So yeah, all in all, makes sense. It's also very good for going second, which is also why we are playing it, because not only does it help you, because you have an incredibly fragile starting point, or combo, I guess, it also helps to break boards, which is where, like, hey, it's still pretty decent against Snake Eyes and stuff like that. Okay. We obviously have the 1 map, the 1 unexplored winds. I'm playing 2 Book of Moon, again, to help with the combo. If my opponent goes for the Imperm, I can flip it face down. It also helps to break boards. So again, like, most of our cards are basically just to assist us and Maxi, and that's it. So in terms of, like, non-engine, it's just to help us kind of get through our combo, because honestly, if you can do that, so few decks can deal with M-Pen, and so few players remember that M-Pen exists. We're playing the 2 called by the 3 Advent of Adventure. Yeah, right? Yeah, Advent of Adventure. And then 2 of the Dreaming Town. Now, it may seem like 2 is too much, but honestly, it's been pretty nice. Sometimes drawing it is very good, and then having that second one to be able to set it if you still need the other one in the grave, very nice. The extra deck doesn't matter, and yeah, that's basically it. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going second with Dear Lanta, one of the best hands I've ever seen. Now, this is not normal, but trust me, this is a really good hand. And honestly, I actually drew pretty well every time I played Flunder. I feel like it's not actually as bad as people make it out to be. In terms of consistency, at the very least. Can you brick? Absolutely. Can you draw like 3 Ryza, or 2 Ryza and an M-Pen and no other cards? Absolutely. I did have hands like that. But honestly, it doesn't matter because my opponent is playing Chase, so we should be fine. Anyway, my opponent's going to go through their combo, and I'm not really too worried. I do have Book of Moon, I have Advent of Adventure, I have Map. All I need is this Pot of Extrav to resolve and draw into a small bird, and we're basically off to the races. But yeah, if you notice, this card in particular, Promethean Princess, says if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's side of the field while this card is in your grave. Guess what? We're not special summoning. It's fine. My opponent makes Baron, and I'm like, okay, that's a little annoying, but we can force that out. Not that big of a deal. They special summon out the IP Mask Arena. I'm like, that's fine. I'm going to try and book the Baron. They decide, you know what, I'm going to negate that. And I'm like, oh, okay, so they're probably going to try and tag out here. And they do. They go for the Poplar, and I'm like, Poplar? Because I would have imagined... anyway, it's fine. They also grab their second original Sinful Spoils, so they're playing multiple. Because here's one, there's another one there. They also set the trap off of the Diabellstar, so that's something to keep in mind. But there you go. I also activated the Book of Moon in the draw step because of Pot of Extrav. So I could have, like... Pot of Extrav has to be the first effect in the main phase, and during the standby phase, it would have done the exact same thing. So I was just like, cool, I'll just fire it in the draw phase and go from there. So we're going to Pot of Extrav here, and they make an Apo using their entire board. And I'm like, oh, cool. So now I win the game, because my opponent is silly, and decided to use Poplar's effect to target the Flomberg that I now get to called by. Fantastic. And we have Eaglin and Map, which is very, very useful, because with Advent of Adventure and Eaglin and all of that stuff, it's great. So I'm going to slap down the Advent of Adventure, I'm going to slap down the Map, I'm going to activate the Map, I'm going to reveal Eaglin, I'm going to banish the Toucan, I'm going to normal summon the Eaglin. Eaglin effect is going to resolve, because we're going to chain block it with the Toucan, unless this card is imperm. Which it's not, so we're doing pretty good. So Toucan gets negated, and I'm like, that's fine, because now we get to grab the M-Pen here, and we get to tribute over a card. So we're going to tribute over, it was called by, and now we just get to go for the M-Pen, Eaglin stuff, and we get to basically play the game as if my opponent doesn't have anything, because honestly, they don't have anything at this point. The M-Pen is on the field, which means Apo doesn't do anything. We can go for the Stree here. I'm going to banish the original Sinful, and grab the Robina. We're going to go to the battle phase, and I'm going to deal with the Diabellstar. I should not have banished the DD Crow. This was a mistake on my part. That was just goofy. My opponent decides to special summon back the Diabellstar, and guess what? They put it in attack position again. Hooray. Now, I already have the Dreaming Town, which is great. So, yeah, we basically get to go and do whatever we want. So my opponent's going to banish another of the original Sinful Spoils, and then they're going to go for the Betrayal. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. Anyway, that doesn't really matter to me. And you'll see why in a second. So we're going to normal summon the Eaglin. They're going to negate. Now, notably, remember, this negates a... Sorry. Where is it? Send a Diabellstar, target a monster on the field, or target a face-up card in the field, negate its effects. That does not say until the end of the turn. That is a permanent negate. So this M-Pen is permanently negated. Keep that in mind, because I don't think my opponent knows that. Anyway, they're going to grab Ash, and I'm like, that's totally fine. Do you want to know why it's fine? Because we're going to go Eaglin, we're going to go Toucan. My opponent is going to attempt to negate. Again, that's why Toucan's there. He's there to just block stuff for this Apo. So this Apo doesn't do anything. And now we get to grab up the Apex Avian, and we're just going to Tribute Summon. We're just going to get rid of that guy, and out comes the Apex Avian. We're now going to grab back the Eaglin and just pass, and yeah. Out comes the Snake Eye Ash. I know about that. We're just going to negate it. The last card in hand has to be something, like, extremely useful. Sure, they can, you know, tag out with the Link Karibo and have that at the very least, but, like, it doesn't do anything. Like it kind of does, but it doesn't really. Sure, they can, you know, put Link Karibo onto the field. The last card in hand has to be, like, I don't know, the third 1-for-1, it has to be, like, Wanted or a Diabellstar or something like that, like, and even then, like, getting a Diabellstar kind of doesn't do anything, like, it kind of does, but it doesn't really, unless they have, like, Subversion that they can also set, which would be crazy to be playing that many. But they're going to go for the Link Karibo, and then they just pop my M-Pen, and I'm like, oh, that was permanently negated. It would have been better had they just not. Because now, right, I can tribute here, I can go for the Apex Avian, because they might have, like, an Imperm or something like that in hand. So this is just a free normal summon. We're going to do that. We're going to grab up the Toucan, and then we're going to reveal the Toucan, banishing the Dreaming Town, special summon the Toucan. We're going to grab back the Dreaming Town, we're going to go for the Robina, and yeah, there it was. Effect Failure. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, that's not happening. Nice attempt, but this is why we played this the way that we did. So we did the Tribute Summon first to get that guaranteed negate, and then we can also just slap this guy back down. Like, that's a real possibility. Anyway, out comes the Toucan. We're going to grab up the Dreaming Town. We're going to normal summon the Eaglin. Eaglin, in effect, is going to grab up the Ryza. And then we get to go for the Robina. Robina, grab up another Eaglin. Would have been great to be playing that second Crow, but it's not that big of a deal. We're going to go for the Mega Ryza. We are going to put onto the top of our deck the Toucan. We're also going to stack their Trap card. And then I'm also going to, I believe I bounce myself here. We grab up the Stree. Yep. There goes the Mega Ryza. I'm going to put back the Apex Avian and draw a card, and I draw Stree, which is very, very funny. Now, this may seem like I just got rid of my entire board, but with the map, with the Dreaming Town, with all the Dreaming Town in the grave, with all of that stuff, we are very, very well equipped. So it's not that big of a deal. My opponent just goes to the end phase. I'm like, okay, I know what they're drawing, so, you know, there's that. We draw into the second Mega Ryza, which is not great, but it's fine. We're going to reveal the Stree, we're going to banish a card, we're going to go for the Stree, we're going to banish the M-Pen, we're going to grab the Toucan. Toucan is then going to be normal summoned to grab up the M-Pen. We're going to grab that and go from there. Chain block with the Eaglin, grab up the M-Pen, M-Pen normal summon, get off to the races in that regard. We can go for the Ryza to sack the deck again and potentially put another card that they do not want to draw or that doesn't do anything onto the top of the deck, like a Maxi or something like that. I don't know if they had a Maxi engraved, but there you go. And yeah, we did it. Hooray. Alright, now what happens if you go first with this deck? Well, honestly, this deck is very versatile, because not only can it go second, utilizing its engine fairly effectively, but it can also go first, which is great. So we start off with the Robina into Eaglin combo with Map, because of course we do. We're just the better player. Yeah, I drew a 1-of. I technically drew 2, but we're going to grab the DD Crow here because Eaglin is going to come down, and we're going to grab up the M-Pen. And there's not really a point to grabbing, like, Stree or Toucan or something like that. Like, Stree, I literally don't have a card to target. And Toucan would grab back, like, I don't know, a card that can just add itself back to the hand, so it's not really that big of a deal. We're going to go for the Dreaming Town, and we're going to just set 3 and pass with the M-Pen on field. We have DD Crow, we have, you know, these 3, and I'm feeling pretty good. Out comes Fenrir, and I'm like, no. Get that face down. And then I see Tier Cash, and I'm like, oh, it's Tier Element, okay. But yeah, Fenrir is a bit annoying, especially in defense position. They banish the Meta Noise, which is kind of funny, and they're going to activate their effect. And then I see, oh, we're on shenanigans. So there's that. There's the Ruin Heart. They're going to activate the Scream, then they're going to go for the Sheeran. I don't know why they didn't. It's fine. Anyway, they normal summoned a guy, so that means I got to go for my Robina. So we're going to go Robina here. They're going to go Grief in order to grab back the Meta Noise. I'm going to go Robina here, and I'm going to chain the Eaglin, and we're going to grab back the Eaglin. And now I can grab Stree, which is pretty good, because now I could potentially banish something from my opponent's grave, like, I don't know, a Rhino Heart or something like that. But I do go for the Eaglin here, and you may be like, why are we going for Eaglin here? Trust. It's more important to go for Eaglin. My opponent then decides to fire Super Polymerization. I don't know why, but they did. Now, notably, they could either super polymerize their own cards, or they could super polymerize my cards, right? They could polymerize these two, they could polymerize these two. Polymerizing Robina and M-Pen here would be fantastic for them, because they would get the Mud Dragon, which would protect from targeting. It would give them another 4. It'd give them the ability to go into something like a Zeus line, which is very, very useful. But of course, that's not what my opponent does. They go for Garura. Huh? Anyway, normal summon Stree effect. We're going to banish my own M-Pen, and at that point, my opponent concedes. I just slap down Ryza, and they can't do anything. Like, yeah. Alright, and here we are once again going first, and, well, this is about the hand you would expect from M-Pen, or from, Flunder, right? It's fine. It resolved. Great. We reveal 3 birds, which I find to be very funny. But we do grab the Eaglin, so I'm going to do that. We're going to banish one of these Rysas to grab up the map. So that's very useful. And now we get to go for the map. To be fair, a singular Ash Blossom killed me there. But we get to banish the Robina here. We're going to grab the Eaglin. Eaglin, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Robina. This is actually fantastic. This is probably what you want to do most of the time. If you can, Eaglin, Chainlink 1, and then Chainlink 2, one of the other birds. If you have like a Robina in hand or in banish, that's much better. Because getting the search off of Eaglin is way more valuable than getting the search off of Robina. So there you go. So we're going to grab the, we're going to go for the Eaglin here, grab up the M-Pen, and then go for the Robina, grab up that DD Crow, similar to what we did last time, however, with less hand traps, or with less just interactions in general. We're going to grab back that Eaglin, chain blocking the M-Pen here, which is very nice, and we're going to grab the Dreaming Town and just set one and pass. You know, it's M-Pen in a dream, baby. That's what we're working with. And my opponent reveals that they are also on tier. And, Okay, this may seem weird. Let me quickly explain what is happening. Archfiend Eris can be sent to the graveyard to add an Archfiend card. Now, this Archfiend card says special summon 3 monsters to your opponent's side of the field in attack position. Each time one is destroyed, the controller takes 800 damage. Okay, keep that in mind. Special summons tokens that deal damage to me. Now, my opponent normal summons Mudora, and I'm like, up, you normal summon, that's not allowed. So we go for the Eaglin into Robina play, and I'm like, cool. They would have to have, like, Droplet to stop this here, so I think that's fine. We grab up the Apex Avian, we go for the Robina, we activate the Robina effect. I hope and pray that they don't have anything. It's Havness, and I'm fine. We're chilling. Actually, seeing the Havness, I was like, oh, cool. So you don't have that engraved, so your mills are going to be terrible. And they were pretty bad. So we grab 2K, and we go for the Ryza. We go Ryza, we're going to stack the Sheeran, we're going to bounce the Mudora, and I'm going to stack, I believe, my Floowandereeze, my Advent of Adventure. My opponent then goes for Super Poly, pitching the 3rd rollback. That's rollback number 3, baby. So this time, my opponent actually Super Polys into Kit Kalos, and then they put it in attack position. Now, I haven't actually explained what M-Pen does up until this point, so let me explain why this is silly. First of all, put your stuff in a defense position against M-Pen. Why? Because guess what? Where is it? While this tribute summoned card is in the monster zone, your opponent cannot activate the effects of special summoned monsters they control in attack position. So that includes Lynx, because they're always in attack position. And it includes anything you decide to summon in attack position. So, oops, they just can't activate it. Anyway, we add back the Toucan, and we go from there. My opponent is going to activate both Havness and Sheeran. This is pretty smart from them at the very least, because I do have the DD Crow. Normally, you just activate one there, because you don't really have a lot that you can fusion with. But, yeah, they go for the 2, obviously, because I have the DD Crow. Or they're just bad, one of the 2. And seeing how they've played, it might be the latter. They go for Garura here, which may seem weird. Trust me. Okay, we just saw it. Earthbound Release. Ignore what this says. Ignore this part, right? When a level 6 or higher monster is normal summoned, normal or special summoned, at any point, destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible and inflict damage to your opponent equal to the combined original attack of those destroyed monsters. Now, you may be thinking, well, what does that do? That doesn't do anything. Do you remember that trap they searched earlier? Let me remind you of that trap, okay? Because I kind of glossed over it, right? But Nightmare Archfiends tributes a monster to special summon 3 level 6 monsters to the opponent's field. Which means they could then chain rollback, targeting the trap to destroy the field and deal a bunch of burn damage. And with just those 3 monsters, since their original attack is 2,000... it would deal 6,000 damage, and then for each one destroyed, it would deal an additional 800, which would be 8,200, 8,400 total damage, which would kill me. And then I just normal summon Toucan, and now they can't do that. So there's that, you know. So I draw a card, and I activate a Harpy's Feather Duster, which doesn't matter because this game is over and my opponent concedes. Cool. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck still does fairly well in the current metagame, and more specifically, is pretty good for climbing. I think a lot of people are not prepared for M-Pen right now. They just do not comprehend what this card does, and their brain stops working. Like most Yu-Gi-Oh players, they just don't read it. Right? To be fair, it is very difficult to actually read, like, where the effect is that you're concerned about, because you're like, okay, on Tribute Summon it does this thing, and then the quick effect is to banish to get the halved attack. And you don't read this middle effect, which is the most important effect, which is while it's Tribute Summoned, you can't activate your special summoned monster, or your special summoned monsters in attack position. So you have to put everything in defense, or you have to not play links. And yeah, I think a lot of people are not prepared for that. But Shifter, Maxi, very good. You can play around Maxi and not care. You don't care about Shifter, which is also nice because Kashtira has been running around a lot lately. So there's that. And it is fairly consistent. It's not like super consistent like Snake Eyes or something like that. But it does have the ability to actually play its combo pretty much on average, you know. It pretty much gets to do that. And with more and more people playing less hand traps, I've noticed this recently, but more and more people are playing less hand traps because Snake Eyes hasn't been as common. Snake Eyes is still the best deck. I think a lot of people are still playing it, but not as many people are playing it. And because of that, I think a lot of people have been playing less hand traps, playing less like Imperms and Veilers and stuff like that. Obviously, Snake Eyes players are still playing that, but less of like the rest of the player base. So because of that, with slightly less hand traps running around, it means that a lot of times your cards are actually going to resolve. And if your combo resolves, not a lot of decks have great answers to it, right? Even just an M-Pen with Dreaming Town set is kind of difficult. Yeah, they could like Harpy's Feather Duster and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's not exactly the easiest thing for a lot of decks to deal with. Now, is this deck insane? No, but it is a good option to climb the ranked ladder with. I think it is good against a lot of the metagame. It's very simple. It's very easy to play. I say it's very simple. It's not the most simple. It's not like it's just you learn this one combo and you win the game. You do have to know when to utilize your Dreaming Towns. You have to know the fact that Dreaming Town has a secondary effect where if you tribute summon a level 7 or higher monster while this card is in your graveyard, you banish it to Book of Eclipse your opponent's board. Or I guess Daruma Karma Cannon it. Or you flip it all face down. So there's that. You got to know that. And there are a few other things, but it is still a very simple deck. It is pretty much, once you get those play lines understood and you know more or less what you should be chain blocking with, and how you should be, you know, chaining your things. It's pretty simple. But it is a very good deck for climbing. At least I would say so. Especially if you don't want to play the meta. So there you go. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, I'd like to very much appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.